Hi, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and another white box means normally just one thing, and that is another new product from HTC. This time we're looking at the HTC Explorer. So this is a white pre-release box. This device has just hit retail, so bear in mind that what you get in a retail box will be a little bit different to this. It'll be roughly the same size box. Inside you'd expect to have a USB charger such as this one, which is standard 3-pin wall plug with a USB socket on the top, and then we have a USB to micro USB sync charge cable. We'd also probably expect to see a set of headphones or a wireless headset, and a small getting started guide, that kind of a thing. But indeed, because this is just a review sample, we don't have any other accessories. So looking at the handset itself, it's very, very small, as you can see here. Very similar, reminiscent of the HTC Touch and other handsets of that type, maybe even the HTC Smart in terms of size. Indeed, we have a 3.2-inch display on the front, which is half VGA, 320 by 480 pixels, and it is capacitive touchscreen. So kind of on the small side in terms of the size of the screen, and half VGA some might feel is a little bit limited, but hey, it's not a bad resolution for the size of the display. Above that we have the speaker, as you can see there, and either side of that or just below the HTC logo we have a proximity sensor and ambient light sensor. We don't have a forward-facing VGA, or indeed we don't have a forward-facing camera of any kind on this handset. Underneath the screen we have capacitive touch sensitive buttons, so home, menu, back and the search button. Looking onto the left hand side we have the micro USB connector there for sync and charge. On the bottom there is an eyelet there that we can connect a phone charm or a lanyard. Not a great deal to see on the bottom. There is just a small hole for the microphone, and then on the right hand side up and down volume control, which is in this sort of rubberized, well, you'll notice the whole of the back really is a sort of rubberized, ruggedized, almost like a case on the device, but that is the device itself. So there we have the up and down volume control, and on the top we have the power button and a 3.5mm headphone connector, which you can use a wired headset or indeed any 3.5mm headphones. On the back, a 3-megapixel autofocus camera, no flash, you can see here, no flash there, just the HTC logo in this metallic brushed metal area, and then the loudspeaker there as well. The back removes, just try and do that like so, peels the whole of the back off. As I say, it almost feels like that's a secondary rubber cover, but that indeed is the normal back of the handset, which has got this rubberized outside. Here we have a micro SD HC memory card socket, which will support up to 32 gig micro SD HC memory. Battery, which is here, and the capacity is 1230 milliamps. And then there we have the space for the SIM card, which just slides in place obviously under the battery, requiring removal of the battery, which is a fairly typical thing there. That cover then just all slots back on, snaps into place, and there we go. There is a slight raised edge around the outside of the handset, which might be a little bit difficult to pick up in a video, but that's there nevertheless. So let me just power on, and while we're waiting for that to start, we'll just run down the rest of the specification. 102.8mm from top to bottom, 57.2mm wide, and just a shade under 13mm thick at 12.9mm on the thickness. In terms of the weight, it's 108 grams. Feels actually strangely heavy. I think it's because of the size. It just feels fairly weighty. Obviously 108 grams isn't heavy by any means. I think it's just sort of the size and the combination of the weight just makes it feel perhaps heavier than you would expect it to be in terms of what it looks like. Maybe that's the best way to describe that. 3.2-inch display we've already discussed. The internal, the processor is a 600 MHz CPU. That is coupled with a total storage of 512 meg. There's an available user amount of storage of 90 meg at the moment. Obviously, if you use an internal micro SD HC memory card, then you can use far more there, but certainly you're going to want to use a memory card because 90 meg is not going to get you very far. There's also 512 meg of available RAM. That's pretty pretty reasonable for the fact this is an entry-level handset. HTC actually do describe this as their most affordable handset, so it's kind of in at the bottom end of the market. That said, specification isn't too bad. We have Bluetooth 3.0 with A2DP support, does support 3G. Colour camera on the back, maybe a little bit limited at 3 megapixels. We'll comment on the quality of that when we get the review underway. It's running Android Gingerbread, so not too bad in that respect. There's an internal GPS antenna, and we can actually use Wi-Fi hotspot mode and so on. So the specification isn't too terrible, I suppose. Perhaps the most limiting thing is going to be that 600 MHz CPU. So let's just take a look at what we have on here. You notice the HTC Sense Interface. Again, pretty typical for, well, very typical of HTC products. So we'll just go through and set up our connections. We'll connect to a wireless network. And as you can see here, we have a straightforward portrait quality keyboard. If you've seen HTC devices before, then you've certainly seen this keyboard arrangement before. So we'll just go ahead and connect to our wireless network, which we have. I'll use all of the defaults here and agree to everything just so that we can get underway. Now we have the opportunity to set up various accounts. I'm not going to do that here, but we can set up our Google Exchange and HTC Sense Facebook accounts and all that kind of stuff here. I'm going to just skip that for now. It also talks about transferring our stuff and setting up the time zone. Again, I'm going to just accept all of the defaults. Allow us to start up. This is like running the latest version of HTC Sense, HTC Sense 3.5. So we have a slightly different home screen arrangement to perhaps some of the other handsets you may have seen. Nevertheless, we have a very similar method of navigating through. So we've got messages, music, camera, internet and market down the side there, along with the time. And well, if I was connected up, it would actually give me weather. We then have to the right Google search with voice search, and then the favorites people application or widget there. They then have audio or media player, which it's not coming up with anything because we don't have any music on here. And then we have a blank page, so if we hold a long press, we can add various additional widgets. HTC include quite a few for us to play with. But we'll just skip back out of there for now. So we've got a blank page. We can't roll all the way around like we can on some other handsets, so indeed we have to go back the other way. And on this side we have a friend stream for Twitter, Facebook and Flickr. We'll update on there when you've got those accounts configured. We then have messages and a calendar, which is currently in the agenda mode, and that's as far as we go that way. If we tap on the home screen, go back to the middle and tap again, we have the HTC, well, they call it Leap, or this overview mode, so you can see all the bits and pieces that are running on each of those home screen panels. Pressing again just takes us back to the main home screen. You can see all the applications, quite a few installed, so this stuff here looks pretty straightforward, pretty ordinary really. Can't see anything that's terribly out of the ordinary here. There is a task manager, YouTube and usage monitor, but for the most part that looks pretty straightforward. We then have the phone, so we have the actual phone dialer, dead straightforward. We have people, which isn't going to bring anybody up because we don't have any accounts configured. We then have groups, and we have call history. Again, that's going to be empty just at the moment. So going back out through here, pushing the middle button, the menu button, brings up the list of things that we can do here. So we can personalize and go into settings, and we bring up our full settings menu. And we've already seen the wireless networks. And if we just go into about phone, get a little bit more information here. Software updates and so on, and other bits and pieces of information. Software information shown here, as you can see there, HTC Sense version 3.5 and Android version 2.3.5, a version of Gingerbread. Okay, back out of here, got the back and the search button, which uses the Google search and voice search, and then back home. Taking a look at the applications then, and you'll notice there we have an FM radio also. When you plug in a headset or headphones, you'll be able to use those. So then we'll take a look at the internet. Take a quick look at the browser. We'll go to our site. There we go. Keyboard's a little bit small, making me think about typing a little bit because of the size of my fingers, or indeed my thumb. And it's loading reasonably quick. Broadband using Wi-Fi here. It's rendered pretty quickly. Page is rendered reasonably well. Remember, we're only a half VGA display, so the text isn't going to be legible at this level of zoom on a screen that's only 320 pixels wide. But if we switch around to the landscape orientation, which it did pretty quickly, you could just about read that probably. But it switches reasonably quickly into portrait and landscape orientation. Double tap to zoom in, pretty standard. It does reflow. Double tap to zoom out, two finger zooming, and obviously scrolling around. Renders pretty quickly, scrolls pretty smoothly. The zoom isn't bad at all. Zoom in and out. The browser works reasonably well, limited only really by the number of pixels on the display. Scrolling through, we can take a quick look at the maps, see if we're picking up a GPS signal. We have a location source. So that's disabled in settings. That's fairly unusual. That's typically set on in here. In fact, if we just use GPS satellites and have another go at maps, you can see at the top now we have thing that looks like a little bit like a little satellite dish trying to pick up a signal. Being indoors, it might not pick anything up. Indeed, it seems to be taking a little while to do so. But it's a standard implementation of Google Maps. We've got two finger zooming and rotation. Double tap to zoom in, as you do. And that, again, works pretty straightforward. Back into applications. Take a look at YouTube client. And we'll do a quick search for my YouTube alias, which is Leo D. We'll take a quick look at the HTC Wildfire, which I guess may be considered to be one of the device's competitors within HTC's own brand range. There we go. And that buffered really quite quickly and started playing. It is actually playing HQ. And we have support for landscape and portrait. So in landscape it's full screen, and in portrait, as per usual, we get different modes. We get information, comments, videos, related videos and so on underneath. Coming back out of there, we will just go into Android Market, sign in. And we could just take a quick look at the landscape keyboard, which is a reasonable size, so we're going to go and sign in there to Android Market. And we wait for that to sign in. There we go, finish setup. Accept the terms and conditions and take a quick look at Android Market. It is a standard version or implementation of Android Market with a couple of, well, there's one mini exception. First of all, we've got the apps anyway, which are by category, games by genre, and then we do have the HTC button there, which is HTC recommends, so all the bits that HTC think you would like on your brand new HTC phone, nothing to do with them earning any revenue for it. If we do a quick search, we'll take a quick look at Quadrant and run a very quick hopefully a quick benchmark, as we tend to do these days. Bearing in mind this is a 600 MHz processor, it'll be interesting to see how quickly this runs. So if we pull down at the top, we can see recent applications, the fact that Quadrant is downloaded and installed. It's telling me there are updates available. Gmail update is installing, and Quadrant is installing, and all that kind of stuff there. Got quick settings from here as well, so we can turn Wi-Fi on and off, and flight mode and that kind of stuff there as well. So Quadrant has been successfully installed, and we're going to go ahead and run the full benchmark. CPU is taking a little bit of a time to go through. There we go, testing the file I/O. And there we go, so that's running at 22 frames a second. Then between 20 and 30, it's not doing too bad a job. VGA display, don't forget, so it's not rendering quite so many pixels as some of the higher res devices. That's around 30 frames a second. This is running around 60 frames a second, again not doing too bad a job. And finally this DNA string is running around 19-20 frames a second, again not bad. To see the results, there we go, running well virtually the same as the Samsung Galaxy S there. A little bit ahead of the Nexus 1 and HTC Desire there in terms of the benchmark performance. If we run it again, we'll get slightly different results anyway. When we do the full review, we'll run that probably about 10 or 12 times just to get an average in terms of the performance. It's not really done too badly considering the 600 MHz CPU. So that is a quick look at the HTC Explorer. We'll have a full review for you over the next few weeks. Bearing in mind this is a fairly entry level and affordable handset. So it'd be interesting to see how that does stack up in terms of performance. In terms of price, you can pick these up for just a little over £150 from the smartphonecentre.com, and I guess that you're going to be able to get it on contract very soon anyway. Not a bad looking handset. The ruggedized outside may put some people off, but well, we'll see how it actually goes in sales. I think it'd be quite popular, certainly at the price point. I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on tracyandmatt.co.uk, but for now, thanks for watching.